Distinguishing features include special diamond blue metallic paint with color-matched Fuchs wheels, front and rear spoilers, and interior carpets and leather. These cars also featured Dr. Ferdinand Porsche's signature embroidered on the seats in the headrest area. Of the 875 examples produced, only 300 were imported to the U.S., 120 coupes, 100 cabrio, and 80 targas. 250 were sold in Germany, 50 went to the UK, and the remainder to other countries. In 1989, Porsche produced the 25th anniversary special edition model to mark the 25th year of 911 production. The 1989 Porsche brochure lists the production of 500 U.S. market cars, of which 300 were Coupe till the copyright S, 240 in silver metallic paint and 60 in satin black metallic, and 200 cabriolet models, 160 in silver and 40 in black. All had silk grey leather with black accent piping and silk grey velour carpeting. Included were body color Fuchs wheels in 6x16, front, and 8x16, rear, stitched leather console with an outside temperature gauge and a CD or cassette holder, a limited slip differential, and a short shifting gear lever, as well as small bronze 25th anniversary special edition badges. The 911 Speedster, option M503, a low-roof version of the cabriolet which was evocative of the 356 Speedster of the 1950s, was produced in limited numbers, 2,104 units, starting in January 1989 until July 1989 as both a narrow-body car and a turbo look. The narrow version production was 171 units. The Speedster started as a design under Helmut Bode in 1983 but was not manufactured until 6 years later. It was a two-seat convertible that featured a low-swept windshield. Total production of the 911 3.2 Carrera series was 76,473 cars, 35,670 Coupe till the copyright, 19,987 cabrio, 18,468 targa. According to the manufacturer in 2014, an estimate of around 150,000 of the 911 cars from the model years 1964 to 1989 are still on the road at that date. In 1989 the 911 underwent a major revolution with the introduction of Type 964, with technologies from the 959 flagship model. This would be an important car for Porsche, since the world economy was undergoing recession and the company could not rely on its image alone. It was launched as the Carrera 4, the 4 indicating four-wheel drive, demonstrating the company's commitment to engineering. The drag coefficient was down to 0.32. A rear spoiler deployed at high speed, preserving the purity of design when the vehicle was at rest. The chassis was redesigned overall. Coil springs, ABS brakes, and power steering made their debut. The engine was increased in size to 3,600 cc's and was rated at 250 PS, 180 kilowatts, 250 horsepower. The rear-wheel drive version, the Carrera 2, arrived a year later. The 964 incarnation of the 911 Turbo returned in 1990 after an absence from the price lists. At first, it used the refined version of the 3.3 liters engine of the previous Turbo, but 2 years later a turbocharged engine based on the 3.6 liters engine of the other 964 models was introduced. In 1990, Porsche introduced the ahead-of-its-time Tiptronic automatic transmission in the 964 Carrera 2, featuring adaptive electronic management and full manual control. The 964 was one of the first cars in the world to offer dual airbags standard, from 1991, the first being the 944 Turbo, from 1987. In 1992, Porsche reintroduced the limited edition RS model, inspired by the 1973 Carrera RS and emissions legal in Europe only. In 1993, appeals from American customers resulted in Porsche developing the RS America, of which 701 units were built. In 1994, the RS America returned with rear seats, A total of 84 RS America cars were made in 1994. However, while European RS was a homologation special, RS America was an option to delete a variant of the regular model. The RS 3.8 of 1993 had turbo-style bodywork, a larger fixed whale tail in place of the electronically operated rear spoiler, and a 300 PS, 220 kilowatts 300 horsepower, 3,746 cc, 3.7 liters, engine. Since the RS America was intended as a no-compromise, higher performance version of the 964, there were 4 factory options available: a limited slip differential, AM/FM cassette stereo, air conditioning, and a sunroof. The interior was more basic than a standard 911 as well. For example, the interior door panels lacked the armrests and door pockets and had a simple pull strap for the opening mechanism. In 1990, Porsche introduced a turbocharged version of the 964 series. This car is sometimes mistakenly called 965. This type of number referred to a stillborn project that would have been a high-tech turbocharged car in the vein of the 959. For the 1991 through 1993 model years, Porsche produced the 964 Turbo with the 930's proven 3.3 liters engine, improved to have a power output of 320 PS, 240 kilowatts 320 horsepower. 1994 brought the Carrera 2/4's 3.6 liters engine, now in turbocharged form and sending a staggering 360 PS, 265 kilowatts 355 horsepower, to the rear wheels. With the 993 on the way, this car was produced through 1994 and remains rather rare. The 911 was again revised for the model year 1994 under the internal name type 993. This car was significant as it was the final incarnation of the air-cooled 911 first introduced in 1964. Most enthusiasts and collectors consider the 993 to be the best of the air-cooled 911 series. As Car Driver noted, Porsche's version of the Goldilocks tale is the 993 Generation 911, the one many Porsche-philes agree that the company got just right, with an ideal blend of technology and classic 911 air-cooled heritage. Porsche itself refers to the 993 as a significant advance, not just from a technical, but also a visual perspective. 993s especially, are widely regarded as the best the 911 ever got. The exterior featured an all-new front and rear end. The revised bodywork was smoother, having a noticeably more aerodynamic front end somewhat reminiscent of the 959. Styling was by Englishman Tony Hatter under the supervision of design chief Harm Laga and was completed in 1991. Along with the revised bodywork, mechanically the 993 also featured an all-new multi-linked rear suspension that improved the car's ride and handling. This rear suspension was largely derived from the stillborn Porsche 989's rear multi-linked design and served to rectify the problems with earlier models' tendency to oversteer if the throttle or brakes were applied mid-corner. These modifications also reduced previous 911's lift-off oversteer problems to a much more moderate degree. The new suspension, along with chassis refinements, enabled the car to keep up dynamically with the competition. Engine capacity remained at 3.6 liters, but power rose to 272 PS, 200 kilowatts 268 horsepower, due to better engine management and exhaust design. Beginning with the model year 1996 to 286 PS, 210 kilowatts 282 horsepower. The 993 was the first Porsche to debut variable-length intake runners with the Variaramp system on 1996 models. This addressed the inherent compromise between high RPM power production and low RPM torque production and was one of the first of its kind to be employed on production vehicles. However, the Variaramp version with its OBD2 had issues with carbon deposits, resulting in failed smog tests. This caused expensive repairs and made comparisons with the 1995 car, with OBDI and just 12 horsepower less, inevitable. Meanwhile, A new four-wheel drive system was introduced as an option in the form of the Carrera 4, the rear-wheel drive version simply being called Carrera or C2. A lightweight RS variant had a 3.8 liters engine rated at 300 PS, 221 kilowatts, 296 horsepower, and was only rear-wheel drive. The Targa open-top model also made a return, this time with the large glass roof that slid under the rear window. The expensive air-cooled 993 Targa had a limited production run between 1996 and 1998. Production numbers: 1996, US/Can, 462 row; 1980, 1997, US/Can, 567 row, 1276; 1998, US/Can, 122, 100 Tiptronic, 22 manual. As an investment, the 1997 and 1998 Carrera S version has proven the most desirable. Apart from even rarer models such as the RS and Turbo S, many find that they are the best-looking 911 there is, and used prices have always seemed to reflect this. They command a hefty premium in today's market, and the very best example is wide-body cars can be priced more than the higher-mileage turbos. Of the wide-body 993 series, the purists will want two-wheel drive and nothing else will do. Similarly, purists will insist upon the manual transmission over the automatic Tiptronic version. This is even more true in the case of the 993 as compared with other models, because the Porsche 993s was the first production model, apart from the 959 flagship sports car, to feature a 6-speed manual transmission. The C2S wide-body 993 models are in scarce supply, with none built in 1995 or 1996, and just 759 units made for North America in 1997, with the final supply of 993 in 1998. For a total of 1,752 C2S examples overall. A turbocharged version of the 993 was launched in 1995 and became the first standard production Porsche with twin turbochargers and the first 911 Turbo to be equipped with permanent all-wheel drive. The homologated GT2 version based on the Turbo retained RWD. The similarity in specification and performance levels inspired several comparison road tests with the 959. The 3.6 liters twin-turbocharged M64/60 engine is rated at 408 PS, 300 kilowatts, 402 horsepower. The performance was outstanding at the time, as 0 to 97 kilometers per hour, 60 miles per hour, has been measured as 3.2 seconds. And the braking was even more impressive at 2.3 seconds from the same speed. The car's top speed was measured as 322 kilometers per hour, 200 miles per hour, at 7,000 revolutions per minute. The differences were striking. The 959 had a much smaller engine, sequential turbocharging, and a computer-controlled all-wheel drive system. The 993 turbos had parallel turbochargers, 3.6 liters of displacement, and a viscous coupling for the center differential and the AWD drivetrain. The Turbo was only produced in the 1996 and 1997 model years. The main difference was that the EQ in the 1996 model year could not be flashed for an upgrade, while 1997 could. Additionally, the 1996 year had Porsche-crested center caps on the wheels, while 1997 had Turbo inscribed. Another difference is the motion sensor and map lights above the interior rear view mirror in 1997, while the 1996 one had no such devices. In 1997, Porsche introduced a limited run of 183 units of the sport version of the 993 turbos dubbed the Turbo S, with 24 PS, 18 kilowatts, 24 horsepower. Over the regular turbos 408 PS, 300 kilowatts, 402 horsepower. Features include a scoop on the side right behind the doors for engine cooling and vents on the whale tail rear spoiler. Aside from an upgraded EQ mapping, a center oil cooler behind the center air intake at the front bumper was added. The Type 996 introduced in 1998 represented two major changes for the venerable 911 lineage. A water-cooled flat-six engine replaced the popular air-cooled engine used in the 911 for 34 years, and the body shell received its first major redesign. Changing to a water-cooled engine was controversial with Porsche traditionalists, who noted this as the end of the true 911. The 996 Stallings shared its front end with Porsche's mid-engine entry-level Boxster. Pinky Lie's work on the exterior won international design awards between 1997 and 2003. The Carrera variant had a 0.30 coefficient of drag. The interior was criticized for its plainness and its lack of relationship to prior 911 interiors, although this came largely from owners of older 911s. Type 996 spawned over a dozen variations, including an all-wheel drive Carrera 4 and Carrera 4S, the latter which had a turbo look in facelift form models, the club racing-oriented GT3 and GT3 RS instead of a Carrera RS variant, and the forced induction 996 Turbo and GT2. The Turbo, which was four-wheel drive and had a twin-turbocharged engine, often made appearances in magazines' lists of the best cars on sale. The Carrera and Carrera 4 underwent revisions for the 2002 model year, receiving clear lens front and rear indicator lights which were first seen on the Turbo version 2 years earlier. This allowed the 911 to be more distinguishable from the Boxster. A mildly revised front fascia was also introduced, though the basic architecture remained. Engine displacement was 3.4 liters and power output was 300 PS, 221 kilowatts, 296 horsepower, featuring a change to an integrated dry sump design and variable valve timing. The displacement was increased in 2002 to 3.6 liters and power received an increase to 320 PS, 235 kilowatts, 316 horsepower. The folding roof mechanism on the convertible variants required 19 seconds for operation. An electronically adjustable rear spoiler was installed that raised at speeds over 120 kilometers per hour, 75 miles per hour. It could also be raised manually by using an electric switch. Starting from the models with water-cooled engines, all variants of the 911 Carrera do not come with a rear limited slip differential, except the 40th anniversary 911, GT2, GT3, and Turbo. The exception would be for MY 1999, where the limited slip differential was available as option code 220. Porsche introduced a road-legal GT3 version of the 996 series which was derived from the company's racing car used in the GT3 class racing. Simply called GT3, the car featured lightweight materials including thinner windows and the deletion of the rear seats. The GT3 was a lighter and more focused design with an emphasis on handling and performance, a concept that dates back to the 1973 Carrera RS. The suspension ride height was lowered and tuned for responsiveness over compliance and comfort. These revisions improved handling and steering. Of more significance was the engine used in the GT3. Instead of using a version of the water-cooled units found in other 996 models, the naturally aspirated engine was derived from the 911 GT 198 sports prototype racing car and featured lightweight materials which enabled the engine to have higher RPM. The engine used was a naturally aspirated 3600 cc, 3.6 liters, flat six rather than the engine from the pre-facelift and revised Carrera. It is rated at 365 PS. 268 kilowatts, 360 horsepower, at first and later improved to 386 PS, 284 kilowatts, 381 horsepower, at the end of the 996 series revision. In 2000, Porsche launched the turbocharged version of Type 996 for the 2001 model year. Like the GT3, the Turbo's engine was derived from the engine used in the 911 GT1 and, like its predecessor, featured twin turbos and now had a power output of 420 PS, 309 kilowatts, 414 horsepower. Also, like its predecessor, the new Turbo was only available with all-wheel drive. In 2002, the X50 package was available that increased the engine output to 450 PS, 331 kilowatts 444 horsepower, with 620 Nm, 457 pounds-feet, of torque across a wide section of the power band. With the X50 package, the car could accelerate from 0 to 100 km per hour, 0 to 62 miles per hour, in 3.91 seconds. Later on, toward the end of the 996 life cycle, the Turbo S nameplate also returned with the debut of the Cabriolet variant as well. The Turbo S boasted even more power of 450 PS, 331 kilowatts 444 horsepower, and 620 Nm, 460 pounds-feet than the standard turbo, courtesy of the X50 package being standard. The Turbo S was limited to 1,500 units worldwide. The Turbo can attain a top speed of 304 km per hour, 189 miles per hour. The styling was more individual than the previous generations of the Turbo. Along with the traditional wider rear wing, the 996 Turbo had different front lights and bumpers when compared to the Carrera and Carrera 4. The rear bumper had air vents reminiscent of those on the 959, and there were large vents on the front bumper. The 996 was replaced with the 997 in 2004. For the 2005 model year, it retains the 996's basic profile, with an even lower 0.28 drag coefficient, but draws on the 993 for detailing. In addition, the new headlights revert to the original bug eye design from the teardrop scheme of the 996. Its interior is also similarly revised, with strong links to the earlier 911 interiors while at the same time looking fresh and modern. The 997 shares less than a third of its parts with the outgoing 996, but is still technically similar to it. Initially, two versions of the 997 were introduced to the rear-wheel drive Carrera and Carrera S, while the base 997 Carrera had a power output of 325 PS, 239 kilowatts 321 horsepower, from its 3.6 liters flat 6, a more powerful 3.8 liters 355 PS, 261 kilowatts 350 horsepower, flat 6 powers the Carrera S. Besides a more powerful engine, the Carrera S also comes standard with 19 in 48 cm, lobster fork-style wheels, more powerful and larger brakes, with red calipers, lowered suspension with PASM, Porsche active suspension management, dynamically adjustable dampers, xenon headlamps, and a sports steering wheel. In late 2005, Porsche introduced the all-wheel drive versions to the 997 lineups. Carrera 4 models, both Carrera 4 and Carrera 4S, were announced as 2006 models. Both Carrera 4 models are wider than their rear-wheel drive counterparts by 1.76 in, 45 mm, to cover wider rear tires. The 0 to 100 km per hour, 0 to 62 miles per hour, acceleration time for the Carrera 4S with a 355 PS, 261 kilowatts 350 horsepower, engine equipped with a manual transmission was reported at 4.8 seconds. The 0 to 100 km per hour, 62 miles per hour, acceleration for the Carrera S with the 355 PS, 261 kilowatts 350 horsepower, was noted to be as fast as 4.2 seconds in a Motortrend comparison, and RoadTrack has timed it at 3.8 seconds. The 997 lineup includes both 2- and 4-wheel drive variants, named Carrera and Carrera 4 respectively. The Targas 4 and 4S, released in November 2006, are 4-wheel drive versions that divide the difference between the Coupe, the Copyright S and the cabriolets with their dual, sliding glass tops. The 997 received the larger air intake in the front bumper, new headlights, new rear taillights, new clean sheet design direct fuel injection engines, and the introduction of a dual-clutch gearbox called PDK for the 2009 model year. They were also equipped with Bluetooth support. The change to the 7th generation, 991, took place in the middle of the 2012 model year. A 2012 Porsche 911 can either be a 997 or a 991, depending on the month of production. The turbocharged version of the 997 series featured the same 3.6 liters twin turbocharged engine as the 996 Turbo, with modifications to have a power output of 480 PS, 353 kilowatts, 473 horsepower, and 620 Nm, 457 pounds-feet, of torque. It has VTG, variable turbine geometry, that combines the low rev boost and quick responses of a small turbocharger with the high rev power of a larger turbocharger. It also offers higher fuel efficiency compared to the 996 Turbo. The 997 Turbo features a new all-wheel drive system, similar to the one found on the Cayenne. The new PTM, Porsche Traction Management System incorporates a clutch-based system that varies the amount of torque to the wheels to avoid tire slippage. According to Porsche, redirecting torque to control oversteer or understeer results in neutral handling as well as greatly improved performance in all weather conditions. For the facelifted 2010 model year 911 Turbo, known internally as the 997.2, as opposed to the 997.1 2007 to 2009 model years, launched in August 2009. The PTM system was tweaked to give a more rearward power bias. The paddle shifters for the PDK double-clutch gearbox debuted on the Turbo. The Turbo uses a different engine. The previous water-cooled Turbo models, 996 and 997, measured 3,600 cc. This new engine measures 3,800 cc's, 4 liters, and was first developed for the Carrera, which was launched in 2008. The variable vane twin turbochargers have also been reworked to increase responsiveness, and the intercooler and fuel system were upgraded. The engine has a power output of 493 PS, 363 kilowatts, 486 horsepower, which is 20 horsepower more than the outgoing model. The steering wheel also houses a display showing when Sport, Sport Plus, and launch control have been selected through the optional Sport Chrono package. Porsche claimed that the new 911 Turbo will accelerate from 0 to 100 km per hour, 0 to 62 miles per hour, in 3.4 seconds, or 0 to 60 miles per hour in 3.2 seconds, and could attain a top speed of 312 km per hour, 194 miles per hour. As with the 996 Turbo, the car featured distinctive styling cues over the Carrera models, including front LED driving/parking/indicator lights mounted on a horizontal bar across the air intakes. The traditional rear wing is a variation of the 996 biplane unit. A new 911 Turbo S was set for production in 2010. It is a fully optioned Porsche 911 Turbo with a PDK gearbox and sports exhaust as standard. It also comes with re-engineered turbochargers to give an extra 30 horsepower increase to a total of 523 PS. 385 kilowatts, 516 horsepower. The 911 GT3 was added to the 997 lineage on February 23, 2006. Performance figures include a 0 to 100 km per hour, 0 to 62 miles per hour, acceleration time of 4.1 seconds and a top speed of 310 km per hour, 193 miles per hour. Almost as fast as the Turbo. Porsche's factory reports were proven to be conservative about the performance of the car. Excellence magazine tested the 997 GT3 and recorded a 0 to 100 km per hour, 62 miles per hour, of 3.9 seconds and a top speed of 312 km per hour, 194 miles per hour. It was at that time crowned the best handling car in America by Motor Trend. The 911 GT3 RS was announced in early 2006 as a homologation version of the GT3 RS, a racing car for competitions like Sebring and the 24 Hours of Le Mans. The drivetrain of the RS is based on the 911 GT3, except for the addition of a lightweight flywheel and closer gear ratios for further improved response under acceleration. Unlike the GT3, the RS is built on the body and chassis of the 911 Carrera 4 and Turbo, and accordingly has a wider rear track for better cornering characteristics on the track. Visually, the RS is distinguished by its distinctive color scheme, a bright orange or green with black accents, which traces its roots to the iconic Carrera RS of 1973. The plastic rear deck lid is topped by wide carbon fiber rear wing. The front air dam has been fitted with an aero splitter to improve the front downforce and provide more cooling air through the radiator. The European version of the RS is fitted with lightweight plexiglass rear windows and a factory-installed roll cage. Production of the first-generation 997 GT3 RS ended in 2009. An estimated 413 units were delivered to the U.S. and the worldwide production run is estimated to be under 2,000 vehicles. In August 2009, Porsche announced the second generation of the 997 GT3 RS with an enlarged 3.8-liter engine having a power output of 450 PS, 331 kilowatts, 444 horsepower, a modified suspension, dynamic engine mounts, new titanium sport exhaust, and modified lightweight bodywork. In April 2011, Porsche announced the third generation of the 997 GT3 RS with an enlarged 4.0-liter engine having a power output of 500 PS, 368 kilowatts, 493 horsepower. Porsche designed the GT3 RS 4.0 using lightweight components such as bucket seats, carbon fiber bonnet, and front wings, and polycarbonate plastic rear windows for weight reduction, while using suspension components from the racing version. Other characteristics include a low center of gravity, a large rear wing, and an aerodynamically optimized body. The lateral front air deflection vanes, a first on a production Porsche, increased downforce on the front axle, aided by a steeply inclined rear wing. Aerodynamic forces exert an additional 190 kilograms, enhancing the 911 GT3 RS 4.0's grip on the tarmac. The GT3 RS 4.0 weighs 1,360 kilograms, 2,998 pounds. The Type 996-911 GT2 was superseded by the Type 997 GT2 in 2007. The new car was announced on 16th of July of that year but was launched during the 62nd Frankfurt Motor Show, held every other year in Frankfurt, Germany. It arrived in dealerships in November 2007. The 997 GT2 has a twin-turbocharged 3.6-liter flat-six engine, which generates 530 PS, 390 kilowatts, 523 horsepower, at 6,500 revolutions per minute, and 505 pounds-to-feet, 685 Nm, of torque from 2,200 to 4,500 revolutions per minute. It has a 6-speed manual transmission and rear-wheel drive. With a curb weight of 1,440 kilograms, 3,175 pounds, the 997 GT2 accelerates from 0 to 97 km per hour, 0 to 60 miles per hour, in 3.6 seconds, and from 0 to 161 km per hour, 100 miles per hour, in 7.4 seconds, and has a top speed of 328 km per hour, 204 miles per hour. This makes it the first street-legal 911 to exceed a 322 km per hour, 200 miles per hour, barrier, except the 1998 911 GT1 road car, which is broadly considered not to be a true 911 due to its mid-mounted engine. Motor Trend tested a 2008 Porsche 911 GT2 and found the 0-60 miles per hour, 97 kilometers per hour, acceleration time at 3.4 seconds, and 11.4 seconds at 127.9 miles per hour, 205.8 kilometers per hour. For the quarter mile, the GT2 also recorded a braking distance from 60 to 0 miles per hour, 97 to 0 kilometers per hour, of 98 feet, 30 meters, and recorded a 1.10 grams lateral grip. The GT2 made an appearance on Top Gear, where it had a lap time of 1:19.5, faster than a Carrera GT by 0.3 of a second. Its appearance differs slightly from its sister car, the 997 Turbo, in a few ways. It does not have fog lights in the front bumper, it has a revised front lip, it has a different rear wing, with two small air scoops on either side, and it has a different rear bumper, now featuring titanium exhaust pipes. The 997 GT2 is also different from the 997 Turbo in that it is rear-wheel drive rather than all-wheel drive. On May 4, 2010, an RS variant was announced to German dealers in Leipzig. The GT2 RS develops 620 PS, 456 kilowatts, 612 horsepower, and 708 Nm, 516 pounds-feet, of torque and weighs 70 kilograms, 150 pounds, less than the standard GT2, allowing for a top speed of 330 kilometers per hour, 205 miles per hour, and the 0-100 kilometers per hour, 0-62 miles per hour. Acceleration time of 3.4 seconds. Unveiled at the 2009 Frankfurt Auto Show, the Sport Classic is a limited, 250 units all sold in under 48 hours, version of the 911 Carrera S Kuwait copyright, inspired by the 1973 Carrera RS 2.7. The engine is rated at 408 PS, 300 kilowatts, 402 horsepower, via a newly developed resonance intake manifold with 6 vacuum-controlled switching flaps. It includes 6-speed manual transmission, a double-dome roof, 44mm, 1.7 in, wider rear fenders, a sport-design front apron with a spoiler lip, and a fixed ducktail rear wing, similar to the one found on the 1973 Carrera RS 2.7. PCCB Porsche ceramic composite brakes, 20mm, 0.8 in, lower PASM sports suspension, mechanical rear axle differential, 19-inch black Fuchs wheels, Porsche exclusive woven leather seats and door panels, dashboard with espresso nature natural leather upholstery, and a specially developed Sport Classic gray body color. For the 2011 model year, Porsche introduced the first ever GTS model for 911. Designed as a driver's car, the GTS was more powerful than the S, had better handling via bespoke suspension design, and was positioned as a more street-friendly alternative to the GT3, Porsche's track-focused 911 variant. The GTS featured race-inspired centered lock wheels, unique styling including a sport-design front bumper, special rear bumper, blackout trim, side skirts borrowed from the GT2 model, brushed stainless steel Carrera GTS door sills and Alcantara trim. Many GTS were ordered with the Alcantara delete, instead of being built with leather. The GTS was very rare in that it was a rear-wheel drive wide-bodied design, 44mm wider than a standard 911, 20mm lower, and offered 408 horsepower, versus 385 horsepower for the S. Like the similar, limited-volume Sport Classic and the Speedster, Porsche built approximately 2,265 total GTS models for the world market, as well as a handful designated as 2012 models. The enthusiastic reception the GTS model received from both the motoring press and consumers convinced Porsche to make the GTS a staple of the 911 line beginning in 2015, with the Type 991 911 successor. In 2011, Porsche added a new 911 Speedster in a limited series of only 356 units to the 997 lineage, the number of cars produced recalling the iconic car of the 1950s. It was the third 911 Speedster produced, the other two being from the 930 and 964 generations. The Speedster was powered by the same engine as the Carrera GTS, which is rated at 414 PS, 304 kilowatts, 408 horsepower. It accelerated from 0 to 97 kilometers per hour, 60 miles per hour, in 4.2 seconds and attained a top speed of around 310 kilometers per hour. 190 miles per hour. Only two colors were offered, Pure Blue, which was developed specifically for the Speedster, and Carrera White. Paint-to-sample versions were produced in very limited numbers and upon special request from loyal customers. The Speedster featured a windscreen 70mm shorter than the standard 997 cabriolets while maintaining the same rake angle. The 991 introduced in 2011 for the 2012 model year is an entirely new platform, only the third since the original 911. Porsche revealed basic information on the new Carrera and Carrera S models on August 23, 2011. The Carrera is powered by 355 PS. 261 kilowatts, 350 horsepower, 3.4-liter engine. The Carrera S features a 3.8-liter engine rated at 406 PS, 299 kilowatts, 400 horsepower. A power kit, option X51, is available for the Carrera S, increasing power output to 436 PS, 321 kilowatts, 430 horsepower. The new 991's overall length grows by 56 mm, 2.2 in, and the wheelbase grows by 99 mm, 3.9 in, now 96.5 inches. Overhangs are trimmed and the rear axle moves rearward at roughly 76 mm, 3 in, towards the engine, made possible by new 3-shaft transmissions whose output flanges are moved closer to the engine. There is a wider front track, 51 mm, 2 in, wider for the Carrera S. The design team for the 991 was headed by Michael Maurer. At the front, the new 991 has wide-set headlights that are more three-dimensional. The front fender peaks are a bit more prominent, and wedgy directionals now appear to float above the intakes for the twin coolant radiators. The stretched rear 3/4 view has changed the most, with a slightly more voluminous form and thin taillights capped with the protruding lip of the bodywork. The biggest and main change in the interior is the center console, inspired by the Carrera GT and adopted by the Panamera. The 991 is the first 911 to use predominantly aluminum construction. This means that even though the car is larger than the outgoing model, it is still up to 50 kilograms, 110 pounds, lighter. The reduced weight and increased power mean that both the Carrera and Carrera S are appreciably faster than the outgoing models. The 0A 97 km per hour, 0A 60 miles per hour, acceleration time for the manual transmission cars is 4.6 seconds for the Carrera and 4.3 seconds for the Carrera S when equipped with the PDK transmission. The two 991 models can accelerate from 0A 97 km per hour, 0A 60 miles per hour, in 4.4 seconds and 4.1 seconds. With the optional Sports Chrono package, available for cars with the PDK transmission, the 991 Carrera can accelerate from 0A 97 km per hour, 0A 60 miles per hour, in as little as 4.2 seconds, and the Carrera S can do the same in 3.9 seconds. Apart from the reworked PDK transmission, the new 991 is also equipped with an industry-first 7-speed manual transmission. On vehicles produced in late 2012-2013 model year, rev matching is available on the 7-speed manual transmission when equipped with the Sport Chrono package. Rev matching is a new feature with the manual transmission that blips the throttle during downshifts, if in Sport Plus mode. Also, the 7th gear cannot be engaged unless the car is already in the 5th or 6th gear. One of Porsche's primary objectives with the new model was to improve fuel economy as well as increase performance. To meet these objectives, Porsche introduced some new technologies in the 911. One of the most controversial of these is the introduction of electromechanical power steering instead of the previous hydraulic steering. This steering helps reduce fuel consumption, but some enthusiasts feel that the precise steering feedback for which the 911 is famous is reduced with the new system. The cars also feature an engine stop-start system that turns the engine off at red lights, as well as a coasting system that allows the engine to idle while maintaining speed on downhill gradients on highways. This allows for up to a 16% reduction in fuel consumption and emissions over the outgoing models. The new cars also have several technologies aimed at improving handling. The cars include a torque vectoring system, standard on the Carrera S and optional on the Carrera, which brakes the inner wheel of the car when going into turns. This helps the car to turn in quicker and with more precision. The cars also feature hydraulic engine mounts, which help reduce the inertia of the engine when going into turns. As part of the optional Sports Chrono package, active suspension management is standard on the Carrera S and optional on the Carrera. This helps improve ride quality on straights while stiffening the suspension during aggressive driving. The new 991 is also equipped with a new feature called Porsche Dynamic Chassis Control, PDCC. Porsche claims that this new feature alone has shaved 4 seconds off the standard car's lap time around the Nürburgring. PDCC helps the car corner flat and is said to improve high-speed directional stability and outright lateral body control, but according to several reviews, the car is more prone to understeer when equipped with this new technology. In January 2013, Porsche introduced the all-wheel drive variants of the Carrera models. The 4 and 4S models are distinguishable by wider tires, marginally wider rear bodywork, and a red reflector strip that sits in between the tail lights. The 4 and 4S models are equipped with an all-new variable all-wheel drive system that sends power to the front wheels only when needed, giving the driver a sense of being in a rear-wheel drive 911. In May 2013, Porsche announced changes to the model year 2014 911 Turbo and Turbo S models, increasing their power to 520 PS, 382 kilowatts 513 horsepower, on the Turbo, and 560 PS, 412 kilowatts 552 horsepower, on the Turbo S, giving them a 0-97 km/h acceleration time of 3.2 and 2.9 seconds, respectively. A rear-wheel steering system has also been incorporated into the turbo models that steer the rear wheels in the opposite direction at low speeds or the same direction at high speeds to improve handling. During low-speed maneuvers, this has the virtual effect of shortening the wheelbase, while at high speeds, it is virtually extending the wheelbase for higher driving stability and agility. In January 2014, Porsche introduced the new model year 2015 Targa 4 and Targa 4S models. These new models come equipped with an all-new roof technology with the original Targa design, now with an all-electric cabriolet roof along with the B-pillar and the glass dome at the rear. In September 2015, Porsche introduced the second generation of 991 Carrera models at the Frankfurt Motor Show. Both Carrera and Carrera S models break with previous tradition by featuring a 3.0-liter turbocharged 6-cylinder Boxster engine, marking the first time that a forced induction engine has been fitted to the base models within the 911 range. Porsche introduced the 991 GT3 at the Geneva Motor Show in 2013. The 991 GT3 features a new 3.8-liter direct fuel injection (DFI) flat-six engine developing 475 PS. 349 kilowatts 469 horsepower, at 8,250 revolutions per minute, a Porsche Doppelkupplung, PDK, double-clutch gearbox and rear-wheel steering. The engine is based on the unit fitted in the 991 Carrera S but shares only a few common parts. All other components, particularly the crankshaft and valve train, were specially adapted or developed for the 991 GT3. The dual-clutch gearbox is another feature specially developed for the 991 GT3, Based on sequential manual transmissions used in racing cars, the 911 GT3 is claimed to be able to accelerate from 0 to 97 km per hour, 60 miles per hour, in 3.2 seconds or less, and a quarter mile in 11.2 seconds at 203 km per hour, 126 miles per hour. The GT3 has a claimed top speed of 315 km per hour, 196 miles per hour. Porsche unveiled the facelifted 991.2 GT3 at the 2017 Geneva Motor Show. Extensive changes were made to the engine, allowing a 9,000 revolutions per minute redline from the 4.0-liter flat-six engine. Porsche's focus was on reducing internal friction to improve throttle response. Compared to the 991.1, the rear spoiler is higher and located further back to be more effective. There is a new front spoiler and changes to the rear suspension. The 991.2 GT3 brought back the choice between a manual transmission or PDK dual-clutch transmission. A touring version was also introduced, which comes standard with the comfort package and the manual transmission, along with the deletion of the fixed rear wing and employing an electronically operated rear wing instead. Porsche launched the Rennsport version of the 911 GT3 at the Geneva Motor Show in 2015. Compared to the 911 GT3, the front fenders are now equipped with louvers above the wheels, and the rear fenders now include turbo-like intakes, rather than an intake below the rear wing. The roof is made from magnesium. The interior includes full bucket seats, based on the carbon seats of the 918 Spider, carbon fiber inserts, lightweight door handles, and the Club Sport package as standard. A bolted-on roll cage behind the front seats, preparation for a battery master switch, and a 6-point safety harness for the driver and fire extinguisher with mounting bracket. The 3.8-liter unit found in the previous 997 GT3 is replaced with a 4.0-liter unit that has a power output of 500 PS, 368 kilowatts, 493 horsepower, and 460 Nm, 339 pounds-feet, of torque. The transmission is PDK only. The car accelerates from 0 to 100 km per hour, 62 miles per hour, in 3.4 seconds, 0.6 seconds quicker than the 997 GT3 RS 4.0, and 0 to 200 km per hour, 124 miles per hour, in 10.9 seconds. The 991 GT3 RS also comes with functions such as declutching by paddle neutral A, comparable to pressing the clutch with a conventional manual gearbox A, and a pit speed limiter button. As with the 911 GT3, rear axle steering and Porsche to work vectoring plus with fully variable rear axle differential lock are available as standard. In February 2018, Porsche introduced a facelifted GT3 RS model to continue their updates for the 991 generation of the 911. Changes include a new engine similar to the GT3 and RSR models with a 9,000 revolutions per minute redline and a 20 PS, 15 kilowatts, 20 horsepower, and 10 Nm, 7.4 pounds-feet, increase over the outgoing model. NACA ducts for brake cooling. Modified front fascia, similar to the 991.2 GT3, side skirts and rear wing, similar to the GT2 RS, for increased downforce, ball joints on all suspension links, front helper springs, lightweight glass for the rear and rear side windows, and a newly developed tire compound. A such package was available that included additional carbon fiber body and interior parts, as well as magnesium wheels, and stiffer suspension settings are available as an option. In 2016, Porsche unveiled a limited production 911R based on the GT3 RS. Production was limited to 991 units worldwide. It has an overall weight of 1,370 kilograms, 3,020 pounds, a high-revving 4.0-liter six-cylinder naturally aspirated engine from the 991 GT3 RS, and a 6-speed manual transmission, while air conditioning and audio systems are removable options to save weight. The car accelerates from 0 to 97 km per hour, 0 to 60 miles per hour, in 3.7 seconds and has a top speed of 320 km per hour, 200 miles per hour. The high-performance GT2 version made a return to the 991 lineages but now as an RS variant only with no standard variant being produced. Unlike the previous generations, it was initially unveiled as the 2017 E3 along with the announcement of the Forza Motorsport 7 video game. The car was officially launched by Porsche at the 2017 Goodwood Festival of Speed along with the introduction of the 911 Turbo S exclusive series. The 991 GT2 RS is powered by a 3.8 liters twin-turbocharged flat-six engine that produces a maximum power of 700 PS, 515 kilowatts, 690 horsepower, at 7,000 revolutions per minute and 750 Nm, 550 pounds-to-feet, of torque, making it the most powerful 911 ever built. Unlike the previous GT2 versions, this car is fitted with a 7-speed PDK transmission to handle the excessive torque produced by the engine. Porsche claims that this car will accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour, 97 kilometers per hour, in 2.7 seconds, and has a top speed of 340 kilometers per hour, 210 miles per hour. The car has a roof made of magnesium, a front lid, front and rear spoilers, and a boot lid made of carbon, a front and rear apron made of lightweight polyurethane, rear and side windows made of polycarbonate, and features a titanium exhaust system. Porsche claims that the car will have a wet weight of 1,470 kilograms, 3,241 pounds. A such package option is available, which reduces the weight by 30 kilograms, 66 pounds, through the use of additional carbon fiber and titanium parts. These include the roof, the anti-roll bars, and the coupling rods on both axles made out of carbon fiber, while the package also includes a set of lightweight magnesium wheels. At the 2018 Paris Motor Show held in October on the occasion of the 70th anniversary celebration of the marque, Porsche unveiled the Speedster variant of the 991 generation for the 911. As a concept, utilizing the chassis of the GT3 and the body shell of the Carrera 4 Cabriolet, the Speedster includes the GT3's 4.0-liter naturally aspirated flat-six engine generating a maximum power output of 500 PS, 368 kilowatts, 493 horsepower, and has a red line of 9,000 revolutions per minute coupled with a 6-speed manual transmission and titanium exhaust system which is claimed to be 4 kilograms, 9 pounds, lighter than the 7-speed manual transmission found on the standard 991 models. The car also features the signature hump-shaped double bubble roof cover along with the shorter windshield frame, side window glass and the analog roof folding mechanism retaining the Talbot wing mirrors and the central fuel cap from the 911 Speedster concept unveiled earlier at the Goodwood Festival of Speed, harking back to its use on the 356 Speedster. Other highlights include a leather interior with perforated seats, red-tinted daytime running lights, carbon fiber fenders, an engine cover and hood, and stone guards. Production began in the first half of 2019 and was limited to 1,948 units in honor of the year in which the 356 No. 1 gained its operating license. The final production version of the Speedster was unveiled as the 2019 New York Auto Show in April and dropped the Talbot wing mirrors in favor of standard 991 wing mirrors. The Speedster was available for sale in May 2019. The 2019 version of the 911, under the internal name type 992, made its debut at the 2018 Los Angeles Auto Show. During the actual debut, a presentation of the history of the 911 series was shown, along with a lineup of 911s from different generations. On July 30, 2019, Porsche started marketing the non-S model of the new 992. The exterior is almost identical to the 991 S models except for having 19 wheels front and 20 wheels at the rear, compared to the S model's 20 front and 21 rear. As of November 2022, Porsche offers the Carrera and Carrera S versions, offered with all-wheel drive 4 and 4S versions along with the standard rear-wheel drive version in coupe, Targa, and convertible body styles. Carrera T, only offered in the coupe body style with rear-wheel drive. Carrera GTS versions, offered in coupe, convertible, and Targa body styles with the optional all-wheel drive available. The GT3 and GT3 RS, only offered in the coupe body style and rear-wheel drive. The Turbo and the flagship Turbo S, only offered in a coupe and convertible body styles with only all-wheel drive. The Porsche 911 GT1 is a race car that was developed in 1996 for the GT1 class and the 24 Hours of Le Mans. In order to qualify for GT racing, 25 road-going models were built to achieve type homologation. The engine in the GT1 is rated at 608 PS, 447 kilowatts, 600 horsepower, 544 PS, 400 kilowatts, 537 horsepower, for the road version, and accelerated from 0 to 97 km per hour in 3.3 seconds. The top speed stood at 330 km per hour. 205 miles per hour. Both the road and race cars carried the same twin-turbocharged engine as used in the 962, and the race car was a match for the then-dominant McLaren F1 GTRs. A redeveloped version of the 911 GT1 race car was later built, winning outright at the 1998 24 Hours of Le Mans. The car is not considered to be a real 911. As it is derived from the 962 with the 993 and later the 996 911's front section. It was the most powerful and fastest road-going Porsche until the introduction of the Carrera GT in 2004 and later the 918 Spyder in 2013. In 1999, the 911 placed fifth in the Global Automotive Elections Foundation's Car of the Century competition, trailing mass-market cars, Ford Model T, BMC Mini, Citroën NDS, and Volkswagen Beetle. In 2004, Sports Car International named the 911 number 3 on the list of top sports cars of the 1960s, the Carrera RS number 7 on the list of top sports cars of the 1970s, and the 911 Carrera number 7 on the list of top sports cars of the 1980s. In addition, the 911 was voted number 2 on Automobile Magazine's list of the 100 coolest cars. Motor Trend chose the Porsche 911 Carrera S as its best driver's car for 2012. It also won World Performance Car of the Year in 2014. In 2015, Car and Driver named the Porsche 911 the best premium sports car on